residents of MeepleTown. Today we're going to be talking about Duelosaur Island, which is the two-player game of Dinosaur Island, where you're going to be building up your park and trying to get a better park than the partner that you're playing against. So John, tell us what you think about the art and components of Duelosaur.
So the art and components, look at the pretty box, pretty awesome. What do you think?
Yeah.
Like the art is super 90s and I absolutely love that. It's got really bright and vivid colors. I think the art is just really great. And that goes along with really good components. The cardboard is nice and thick. They have notches on the cardboard where when you're keeping score, they don't fall off like in Azul and some other games where they just drive me nuts. It's really great. I really usually can nitpick games, but I can't nitpick much about these components. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. So I know that the art is going to be a turnoff for some people, but if you can get past that, if you don't like the style, and I do, John and I both like the art style of this, if you don't like it, just get past it because the art on the cards is kind of like that, but it's not as noticeable. And the chunky dice in this game are great. Man, I love chunky dice, and you get to roll them every round. It's a lot of fun.
The chunkier, the better.
Yep.
And if people don't like the art, they're just wrong.
Okay, all right. I won't say that. That's John that will say that.
Oops-a-daisy.
So let's get into gameplay. What
Yes,
do you think?
sir. So the gameplay was really solid. I love to play games with everybody, but I mostly play with my wife. And so I'm always on the outlook for a good, solid two-player game that's designed for two players. And so I was really impressed with the gameplay. I thought that it was nice and solid. It was pretty meaty for a two-player game because a lot of the other two-player games, though they're great, like Lost Cities and stuff, are really quick. They're simple to play. This actually had a little bit of meat on the bone, pun intended. Dinosaurs.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. So I really like that. There's a really cool part at the beginning of the game, and that's you're rolling dice. And after you roll the dice, it's got DNA on there or coins or something that you're going to get. But you have to place them on this little mat, and there are bonuses or plot twists. I don't know what they actually call it. I can't remember. But it may be, you have to make a lot of interesting decisions like, wow, I want that advanced DNA, but I think Dean wants it also. So let me entice him to take this one by giving him an extra bonus for taking that one so that I can take this. And then you have to think, I think, a few steps ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great part of it because you do, like, then the drafting part comes and that next player goes, and so they have to make a decision as well. You know, what do I really need? Yes. What do I want to prevent them from getting? And the other part of that is that you get the dice for your DNA that are going to allow you to build the better dinosaurs.
Yeah.
However, there's also specialist cards that are really powerful and really good.
Can be really powerful.
Yeah, they can be really powerful. And so you have to decide, okay, do I really want to get this DNA that I need to build this dinosaur, or should I just get this card that's going to, you know, potentially give me bonus points at the end of the game, or help me out immediately? So there's a lot of really interesting decisions that come with the drafting part as well.
Yeah, for sure. What do you like about the gameplay? Or not like?
Yeah, there's several things to like about the game. I really enjoy the multi-purpose cards. I like that in games anyway.
Yeah, me too.
But in this game, at the top part of the card, you have an option to build a dinosaur. So you pay the DNA cost, build the dinosaur. The bottom part of the card, you have to pay money to be able to build an attraction that's going to potentially give you more income in the income phase, or it'll give you bonus points for sets at the end of the game, or you can get a PR bonus from the ride attraction. And so it's really difficult to make those decisions sometimes. You know, I really want this dinosaur because it's going to build up my excitement level and I'll get more victory points. But this attraction can give me points too, and I really need income. And so there's a lot of really interesting decisions.
Yeah, there's been a few times playing the game where I'm just like, no, I have to have this dinosaur. No, I have to have this attraction. And making those decisions, they're fun. Yeah. You know, hard decisions are fun, I think, in games. So I like that. I like that a lot as well.
Totally agree. He does that actually when we're playing the game. No, I've got to do this.
And then I pound the table and start making dinosaur noises. All right, so another piece that I like about the gameplay, speaking of dinosaurs, is you like that segue?
I do.
Yeah, nailed it. Is there's a threat level. So as you're building dinosaurs, certain dinosaurs are more dangerous than other dinosaurs, so they have a higher threat level. So you have to actually keep your security level in line with the threat level of the dinosaurs, which again leads to interesting decisions because you got to pay money to actually change that security level or have a specialist card or whatever. But most of the time you're spending money. And so you're like, man, I want to add these dinosaurs, but my security level's not there yet. And guess what happens if your security level's not there?
People get eaten.
People get eaten.
You don't want that in your party.
You don't want that. So I thought that was an interesting part of it as well.
Yeah, I do. And back to the drafting phase, if you leave over a dice that has a couple of pips on there, that increases your threat level, which makes it...
That's true.
You know, those decisions that you make in the drafting phase can really impact who's going to get eaten later in the game. So that's interesting as well.
You don't want to get eaten.
Yeah. Well, let's get to our final thoughts and our rating for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I really like the art. I really like the components, and I think the gameplay is very solid. And of course, I'm always on the outlook for good two-player games. So I'm just going to kind of dive right in and say I give this 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's a very solid game. I definitely want this game in my collection, simply because I want more two-player games. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's got a little meat on the bone, a little bit more complexity than some of the other ones. So I definitely want this in my collection. 8 out of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's actually an 8 out of 10 for me as well. I do own this game, and I'll keep it in my collection. I kickstarted this with the second Kickstarter campaign that they did for Dinosaur Island. And again, for the same reasons, I like some two-player games. My wife and I play a lot of two-player games, and I like some that have a little more heft to them. So for me, this is kind of in the vein of like a Targi or a Seven Wonders Duel. Not that they're rated the same, but the weight of the game, the complexity of the game is pretty similar to those. So I really, really enjoy it. 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, and that's some really good games you're saying there, which is really cool. So, hey, so the interesting thing is this is not the only video that we're doing for this whole collection. We actually have a Dinosaur Island video that we've posted and a comparison between the two. So if you click on the link, you can go check out the Dinosaur Island or the comparison video. And we also would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that we can grow MeepleTown. That would be totally awesome. And we have a podcast where we review this in much more depth. So go to iTunes and search MeepleTown, all one word.
Absolutely. Thanks for checking us out, and thanks for coming down to MeepleTown. In Duelosaur Island, each player is going to start off with a company board, and this company board is going to be used to keep up with basic DNA, advanced DNA, and also keep up with the security and threat levels. And it's where you're going to place your cards in order to build shops and in order to make dinosaurs. And it's also going to be where you're going to put your specialist cards. The Duelosaur plays over 4 phases. The first phase is just the income phase, where you're going to get money and cards based on what you have for your shops down here. The second phase is really kind of the crux of the game. This is the drafting phase, where the starting player is going to draw 5 dice from the bag. They're going to shake them up, put them on the board whichever way they want to. Then they're going to pick 2 out of 3 specialist cards to place at the bottom. Then the next player is going to draft either a die or a card, and then it's going to go back and forth until only one die or card is left. And so what you're going to do is, if I decide I want to take this die, this is going to give me 2 coins. I'll move it down here, and then I'll also get this bonus right here. And that's going to keep going back and forth. So once the drafting phase is done, there'll be a die left over, and you're going to move this over, either a die or a card. If it's a die, you're going to move that over. And that's going to potentially increase your threat level that you'll have to worry about in phase 4. In phase 3, you're going to be creating dinosaurs, building attractions, mixing or selling DNA, or you're going to pay to increase your security level. And you'll do that, you'll put the cards out there based on the cards that you have in your hand. And you will pay for the dinosaurs. If you want to create a dinosaur, you're going to pay the DNA cost listed here at the top. Then you're going to put the card under your board, and that's going to increase your excitement level, which is going to give you visitor points at the end of the game, or immediately at the end of the round. And it's also going to potentially increase your threat level. And in the fourth phase, that's the visitor phase. This is where you're going to compare your threat versus your security level. And so if your threat level is at 3, you need to make sure that your security level is at least at 3. Otherwise, people are going to get eaten and you're going to lose victory points. After you've compared your threat level versus your security level, you're going to look at your excitement level, and whatever that number is, that's how many visitor points you're going to move up. So in this case, if you have 4 excitement level, you're going to move that up 4 points, and that's going to be your victory point track. Then you're going to choose your PR bonuses and see what kind of extra goodies you're going to get, and that's going to end phase 4, and then you move on to the end of the round cleanup. Based on which game you decide that you want to play, if you want to play the short game, you'll play to 25 points, and as soon as somebody reaches that level, that's going to trigger the end of the game. Medium is 35 points, long game is 45 points, and once those thresholds have been met, the game end will trigger. You'll figure out the rest of your visitor point bonuses, and that's the game of Duelosaur.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at MeepleTown Games, and connect with us on the MeepleTown Guild number 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.